Hey boos, hey, welcome back to your girls channel. Y'all, we got a girls trip gone wrong. Apparently, this woman done went on a trip with her homegirls, and this story, it takes a little whirlwind, and it's a long one. So, get your snacks, candy, your water, get all your stuff together, okay? Gather your things, and let's get into it.
I was a victim of a girls' trip. I would like to start by saying that I did wrestle long and hard with the idea of telling this story or not. And I never wanted to come off as that girl that just wants to bash someone's character. But what I have come to realize, what I experienced from these individuals in real time is their character, and there's truly nothing to protect. At the end of the day, this is my story to tell. And above all, I've seen so many videos where we're all talking about adult female relationships and how to navigate those and how to navigate the blow ups and the fallouts. And this is my story on how I was in a friendship with mean girls. Now, to give y'all context, there are three individuals in this story. A, B, and C are going to be their names for today. A, B, and C. Quick backstory. A and I fostered a relationship over about 7 months. These are 7 months prior to the girls' trip. Throughout this time, A and I were fostering a relationship. I thought she was a cool girl. We're both married, both pretty young. I thought this could be a great friendship for my husband and I to have because we just don't have many married friends at our young ages of 28 and 29, right? So I'm like, this is perfect. So fast forward over those 6 or 7 months, we end up getting invited to A's Super Bowl party. And this is the first time I'm hanging out with A, B, and C all in the same setting. It's important to note that A and B are best friends. C is just the third member of the friend group. A and B are best friends, and then you have C. Now, at this Super Bowl party, it was very intimate, very quaint. It was literally just the four of us as far as females there, and then my husband and A's husband. That's it. That's all who was there. So it really wasn't a party. But anyway, we're all hanging out, having a good time. We are just kikiing, we're vibing, everybody's getting along. And I felt like, hey, this is pretty cool. Like, it was in my heart's desire to foster more female relationships because I really didn't have any. And that was just a desire of my heart to build community and have more friends. That's it. So while we are all having a great time at the Super Bowl party, this is where I get the official invite to the girls' trip. And I really think it's important to understand the timeline of when I got invited versus when the trip happened and then after. So this is February, okay? Super Bowl's in February, right? That is when I got the official invite. And I was like, you know what? Sure. Why not? Keep in mind, it was my heart's desires to build community, have more friends. So I'm thinking, because I put it out there in the universe, this is me receiving it back. But it wasn't. So, got the official invite in February. I'm going to tell you guys, there were two huge blow up instances that should have been my red flags to not go on this trip from the very beginning. Two instances happened before we even got on the trip that were huge red flags. Backstory of incident number one. Keep in mind, A and B are best friends. A and B are also leaders of a women's church group that I also joined through these women. So I joined the church and I joined this women's group through these A, B, and C, through these three individuals. A and B, the best friends, are the leaders of this women's group. So at one of our Bible study meetups, initially A and B come in and I knew immediately that A and B had something going on because best friends don't interact like that. Now, key thing to note here, A and B have always called themselves best friends. I always questioned it because it was like, are y'all best friends? Or I don't know. That was just my thoughts. Anyway, A and B come into the church group meeting with about 15 or 20 other women there from the church group. They come into the meeting and the energy is immediately off. I can tell best friends don't act like that. They either got into it, the energy off. They're just not talking to each other, not even looking in each other's direction. Something's going on. But again, these are two grown women. That's not my problem. They haven't told me what's going on. I don't care what's going on. Okay. The meeting continues, the meeting ends. Now, mind you, this is pretty recent after I received the invite to the birthday trip that's supposed to happen in April. We are somewhere in between February and March. I don't know when this exactly happened. So after the meeting, A and C come up to me and naturally we start talking about the trip. our outfits, our swimsuits, what all, all the girly things you are supposed to talk about when you are planning a girls trip. We start having a conversation about outfits, bathing suits, and B inserts herself. Keep in mind, it was me, A, and C initially, and then B inserts herself into the conversation. When B inserts herself into the conversation, she says something like, my swimsuit this, or we this. I don't remember exactly what B said, but it triggered A to say, who is we? Or who's she talking to? Something like that. Something very snarky, something very passive aggressive. And I said, huh? I said, huh, to A. I'm like, huh? What are you talking about? A's response to me was, oh, you didn't pick up on it. It's okay. You didn't pick up on it. I say, but what's T though? What are you talking about? At that moment, I realized she is passive aggressively saying something about B that nobody else picking up on. She then goes to say, oh, you can ask her what's going on. Ask her. So I'm looking at B. Mind you, these women are 2 feet in front of me, very close, and I'm in between them. I look at B, and I don't remember what happened, but I know within 10 seconds, all hell breaks loose. A and B are nose to nose, cussing each other out in each other's face. If I didn't know any better, I would have thought one move, somebody getting hit in the face. That's how intense and that's how crazy it is. And mind you, A and B are supposed to be best friends, right? Right. So after this whole hoopla goes down, mind you, we are at a church women's group meeting, and there are still members of the group here present, witnessing A and B, the 2 best friends, the leaders of this women group, cussing each other out face to face, almost coming to blows. That is the first incident that happened before we even got on the trip. Now, mind you, I'm going to fast forward through like the fallout of everything that happened after that. But to give you some key details here, this is the beginning of the messiness that I started to notice. Because after that blow up, A storms out, leaves. I stay behind to get a little bit more context about what the hell is going on right here. B is distraught. B is crying. C is comforting B. I'm sitting there again trying to get the story, like what the hell's going on? Okay. After all that, B is saying things about A, best friend A. She always does this to me. She always talks down on me. She always doesn't take accountability, blah, 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 blah. Talking mess about A. Now, in this moment, I'm thinking I'm the witness of the end of a relationship. Because there's no way in hell I can talk to anybody like that, or anybody can talk to me like that, and we still gonna be friends afterwards. Not happening. Right? So I'm less like, yeah, this is why I'm out. So I leave. But when I look down at my phone as I'm leaving, I have a message from A asking me to contact her when I leave. I already know what you want. You want to know what was said when you left. So sure enough, I gave her a call because I'm thinking this is intense. Maybe she needs somebody to talk to because she did just lose a best friend. I mean, that could be hard for anybody. So I talked to A on the phone, and sure enough, first things out of her mouth is what was said. Now, did I tell her everything her best friend B just said? No, I said, nothing really was said outside of what was going on, but outside of what happened when you were there. But what is going on here? She ends up telling me that, this is the end of their relationship. B always does this. B is emotionally immature. B doesn't take accountability. So I got it from B, told me this about A, and A is telling me this about B. Red flag number 1 that I ignored. So I'm talking to her again. She's telling me stuff about B, the same stuff that B was telling me about A. And I'm just like, this is weird. Best friends? Or else something else? I don't know. Anyway, even when I was at the place with C and B, I told them, I'm not going on this trip with y'all. If this is the state of the friendship, I'm not going. I'm telling A the same thing. Fast forward to when I'm on the phone with A after the blow up happened, I told her the same thing. I said, listen, I'm just letting you know this is your birthday trip, and I'm so happy you invited me. I was really excited, but I will not be going if this is the state of the friendship. I just won't go. Well, what do you mean? I won't go. Like, huh? I'm not going. Well, if anything, this is her words. If anything, I would just cancel a trip. Like, I would just cancel a trip before we go, and me and her are not good, blah, 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 blah. But I remember vividly asking her, is this the end, basically? How do you feel? Like, where are you in the friendship? Yeah, I think I'm there. I think I'm at the place where I don't want to reconcile, blah, 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 blah. I said, okay, cool. Well, I guess in another week or so, let me know what the state of the trip is. Because if somebody not going, it's going to be more for us. If we not going, let me know when I'm doing my flight, X, Y, Z. So that happened, let's say, a week later. I check in with A and say, hey, what's the state of the trip? Like, are we going? She tells me that her and B, 2 best friends, A and B, have talked. They're good. I said, okay, cool. I should have known then. Fast forward, let's say 2 weeks later, we're at another women's church group meetup. This time we're at dinner. Now, off rip, very similar to last time. Both walk in, they're come in separately. They don't speak to each other. They sit separately. A and B are supposed to be best friends. I said, oh, hell. They into it again. I knew off rip. I'm not stupid. So I'm like, whatever. Again, two grown women, not my monkey, not my circus. Okay, whatever. I'm having a good time chit-chatting with the other ladies of the group. After that dinner, we all disperse. A pulls me aside and we go sit in her car, obviously to tell me what's going on with her and A and B. What's going on with her and B. A pulls me aside and says, hey, I know you picked up on that energy, like me and her got into it again. A proceeds to show me the text thread between her and B that has caused this rift again. Now, that's something I'm not going to go into because the text thread of what B was upset with A about was some really weird stuff. Again, always questioning, are y'all best friends or something else? Anyway, I see the whole text thread, and again, A is saying, she's just so immature. She's just this, she's that. She's not this, she's not that. Again, is that your best friend or not?
Is anybody else impressed by this woman's storytelling skills? But women, how are you honestly feeling about it so far? Would you have stayed in the friend group, or would you have hopped your butt on somewhere else after realizing that A and B are frenemies? I don't know. I think that I would have just been surface level with them after that. But I'm definitely not going on a trip with y'all.
I said, well, it is weird. It is weird to me. Like, I made my confusion known. I'm like, I'm just confused on how y'all operate like this. It was really weird. Again, at this point, the second incident that's happening, we are less than a week out from the trip. We're less than a week out. So this is where we are now. We're less than a week out from the trip, and the two best friends are into it again. At this point, I'm just like, listen. At this point, I'm going on a trip because now I'm excited going to Tulum. But this is really, I picked up at that, said, this is not normal. This is not normal. And the thing about C, mind you, she pretty low key, but the thing about C is their enabler, in my opinion. Because all this always happens, and we'll get to that. We'll get to C in a minute. But A and B are into it again. We're less than a week out. And I'm like, listen. I said, so how is the girl trip going to happen? We still going to have a good time. She going to act like however she want to act. We still going to have a good time. Okay. Now, again, those are the two instances that happened before we even got on the trip. So when I fast forward to the trip, I'm going to hop around a little bit because it was no kind of play-by-play thing that happened, but it was several instances that I experienced on the trip that made me know these are not the type of people I need to be around. These are not the people I thought they were. Hell, they are completely different people than they put on to be in regular life. You know what I mean? So fast forward, we are at the trip. This is night one of the trip. We already got in. We're at the resort, and we are eating dinner at one of the restaurants on the property. And everything was normally good. A and B seem to be in good spirits. Everything's cool. After dinner on night number one, I wanted to take pictures. I knew when I got dressed, I wanted to take pictures that night. Mind you, this is after dinner. And I said, hey, anybody else want to take pictures? Because I want to get a couple. Everybody in general said they didn't want pictures. A said specifically, I just ate, my makeup's probably not what it was, so I can just take your pictures. Cool. I take my pictures. A takes my pictures for me. After we got some really good ones, A said, oh, your pictures actually came out really cute. I want to take some too. Perfect. Everybody always decides that my phone is the best camera to take pictures on. So I said, I'll just take them for you on my phone. So I begin to take A's pictures. She also reminds me, hey, I like my pictures taken this way. You know how people like the look of what their pictures want, I said, cool. I'll put you here, feet where, all that good stuff. Sometime behind me, I hear B making comments. B's making comments, and the comments sound like, I should have just took the pictures. She don't like it like that. No, that's not right. As I'm taking A's pictures, this is what B is saying behind me. She's not talking to me. She's talking under her breath. So I proceed to turn around to B and say, do you want to take the pictures? Do you want to take them? Here. No, you got it. While she's responding to me, A snaps on B. It's not that big of a deal. It's just pictures. You doing too much, blah, 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 whatever was it.
What in the world? Yeah, this is becoming way more toxic than I thought. Like, what? We doing this over some pictures? They wild for this.
I have never seen a grown woman talk to another grown woman like that. In that moment, what did I think? A and B, are y'all best friends? I don't know. I could never clock it. So B proceeds to literally storm off like a child, flouncing, moaning, talking under her breath. She walks about 50 yards away from us and was just sulking. I've never seen anything like it. That was the first time on the trip where I'm like, here we go again. Again, I'm like, what the hell is going on? I look to see, just I'm like, you the one been around longer than me. I look at C. C got her head down. C not saying nothing. C just feel like, I'm trying to figure out what the hell going on here. So that was night one. That's when I knew B got an issue with me. I couldn't quite pin it, but B got an issue with me for sure. But in normal times, she's the happiest, giddiest person. And then it's like a flip of a switch. She turns into something else. A and B both shared that trait. So after this incident, think that was night one. We all went back to our rooms, slept, and woke up the next day. Now, key thing to note here in the story is day two, that's when I start to get up at, I don't know, between 5:30 and 6 o'clock in the morning to go get my coffee and just have peace. Because even through just the first day, it was the snarkiness, the passive aggressiveness never ended. It was exhausting being around them. So again, day two, I woke up, made it a point to go get my coffee and spend about an hour or two by myself to get some peace. And that's exactly what I did. I'm going to fast forward a couple of days and get to the second incident between B and I. The second incident that happened between B and I. And this is where I don't remember what day of the trip this happened, but I want to say it was May because we had one more full day after this incident happened. So maybe this is like, I don't know, day 3 or 4 of the trip. So this is the day we decided to visit the beach club that was connected to the resort. So the beach club is about 10 to 15 minutes away from the resort, but it's still a part of their property, right? So we get shuttled over there. Boom, we're there at the beach club. Now, it's a known fact at this point, we're in Tulum, we're around water, pools, the ocean. It's a known fact that only A and I can actually swim. C and B cannot swim, okay? Keep that in mind. So we're at the beach club having fun. Everything's copacetic. Keep in mind, the passive aggressiveness never stopped. The snarkiness never stopped. The attitude, the two best friends arguing never stopped. It never stopped. So again, we're at the beach club. This seems to be an okay day. So far, it's an okay day. Everybody decides to get in the ocean. We're hopping waves, not doing anything too adventurous. We're just kind of hopping waves. I'm not going underwater, right? It was A, me, and then B and C, right? They were kind of closer together, and A and I were kind of closer together. Again, just out in the ocean, enjoying the scenery. A and I look over to, what prompted us to look over was screams and yelling and muffled screams to B and C going underwater. Mind you, B and C can't swim, okay? B and C somehow gets knocked over by a wave and they're underwater. But the scene that transpired is B is actively pulling C under the water because she's panicking because she cannot swim. Were we in deep water? No, we're about in 3 to 5 feet. No, not even 5. We're about 3 to 4 feet. Not even 4. We were in 3 feet of water. 3 feet of water up to about our waist. And I can look at C and B. They're actively drowning. So it literally looks like a fight because B is pulling C down and C is trying to get B off of her, but B proceeds to pull her down because she's panicking. We get close enough, they recover. They're both standing up, gasping for air, and C's Louis Vuitton glasses are no longer on her head.
You cannot tell me that wasn't hilarious, y'all. I just got done cracking up. That is funny. Anybody else picture them drowning each other in 3 feet of water? Oh my God, black people, we got to do better. Y'all better learn how to swim out here. This is exactly why they recommend we wear life jackets, folks.
They're at the bottom of the ocean, right? So C is my glasses, panicking. B over here is gasping for air, can't open her eyes, literally look like she's dry drowning. So A proceeds to help C look for the glasses. I proceed to help B out of the water, just being the person I am. She's not opening her eyes. I got her out of the water, I don't know, 50 yards back to the beach chairs where she sat down. Okay, mind you, the stunt she pulled night one is still in the back of my mind, but in this case, when there could be a medical emergency, I'm going to make sure you're okay. I'm asking her, can you breathe? Do you feel like you have water in your lungs? She was like, no, but she's still gasping, crying, right? I can understand for a person that can't swim, you just went underwater, you can't swim, how you could panic and how that could affect anybody. I understand that. So she's recovering. I said, okay, I'm gonna just go out to the water and see if I can help them find these glasses, right? Went back out to the water. When I'm coming up to the water, I hear A, and this is what it sounds like. A is talking to C. Oh, it couldn't have been me. Oh, I wish she would have jumped on me like that. Keep in mind, this is A talking about B, her best friend, that's over there up on the beach, barely making it. A says, again to C, oh, you a good one for not going off on her. You a good one for not going off on her. You a good one, blah, 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 all this stuff. Again, encouraging that C should have went off on B because that's what she would have done.
Wow, this friend group is extremely toxic, petty, immature, and all of the above. How does such a smart woman such as herself get wrapped up in a friendship group like this? Do y'all love the way this woman is telling this story? Or is it just me? This woman is a hell of a storyteller.
After catching a clip of that conversation that was actually happening, I said, yeah, I'm out. I go back to see if B is okay still. B is still crying, bloodshot eyes, still doesn't seem to be recovering emotionally at this point. Physically, she's fine. Emotionally, she's not recovering. So I'm like, okay, she's scared, whatever. We use this moment to wrap it on up and head back to the resort. Everybody's packing up. We're making our way to the shuttle. We get on the shuttle. B sits by me. A and C is sitting together because, of course, A wants to continue the conversation with C about B, her best friend, and what just transpired. Oh, you just lost your Louis V glasses? Oh, it couldn't have been me. I would have da-da-da. That's the conversation she wanted to continue with C, so I got stuck with B, okay? B is still bloodshot in the eyes, tears rolling down her face, and I said, hey, tell me what's going on, right? At this point, I can see her hair products are seeping down into her face, so the girl truly could not see, and I'm sure her eyes were burning. I said, okay, I got a little water left. I had on a silk scarf that I tied around the top of my head. I took my scarf off. I proceeded to help her over the edge of the shuttle, rinse her eyes out with my water, and then I took my scarf off my head and gave it to her. I said, hey, use that to dry your eyes and continue to pour water on that and continue to block your eyes so you can get all of that hair product out of your eyes that's causing your eyes to burn. Okay? After she did that, she seemed to recover now emotionally and physically, and I'm just kind of talking to the girl. Again, understanding that she just went through something pretty scary. No matter how I feel about her at this moment, and no matter the stunt she pulled night one, I'm just being the person I am. Okay? We make it out of this moment. We're back into the resort. Now, the third instance with me and B happens the same night I help her and aid her out of her near drowning experience. It happens the same night. So we're about to get into the third instance between B and I. Mind you, A and B are best friends. And I already peeped that B got an issue with me. So fast forward, the same night of the near drowning experience. Again, we're eating dinner on the resort. We have dinner and A, out of nowhere, is somehow encouraged and is adamant about us visiting the sports bar that's on property. Why are we going to the sports bar? Okay, cool. I'm thinking, okay, maybe the girl is just wanting to hang out a little longer. It is her birthday weekend. We really have not left the resort to do anything nightlife or anything else at this point. So I'm like, okay, let's go to the sports bar. Key thing to note here, I have on flats. I have on some slide-in sandals, and everybody else I'm pretty sure has on heels. But A has on the type of heels that kind of tie up the leg. That is important. So we are making our way after dinner to the sports bar. Where the sports bar is located at this resort, there's sand that you have to walk over to get into the sports bar. Mind you, I got on flats, so the sand ain't nothing to me. I kick my shoes off. I'm good. The other two ladies, C and B, both have on heels, but they're able to slip them off pretty easy. Mind you, A has on the tie-up heels. Everybody looking at each other, she was like, dang, I don't want to get over the sand. Everybody looking stupid. Ain't nobody saying, oh, well, I said, just hop on my back. Like, just hop on my back. And mind you, at this point, me and A don't got no real issues. We haven't got any into it. But I'm not liking the way it's treating other people around her. But again, we're in this moment. Hey, just hop on my back, bro. Like, it ain't even that deep. Mind you, A has on a dress where she's not able to, you hop on somebody's back and you kind of put your legs around their waist. She is not able to do that. So I have my clutch, my purse with me. A is trying to get on my back and I realize, okay, I have to grab her with both hands so I can't hold my purse, right? So I asked B, which is standing right there. B, A best friend, right? Y'all got to remember that. I look over to B and said, hey, can you hold my purse really quick while she hop on my back so I can hold her? B looks me in my face and says, no. I look to C. I said, can you hold my purse? Like fleeting. I said, can you hold my purse? C grabs my purse. A hops on my back, 2 feet, get her over the sand. Everything's cool. Now, I'm not one to let stuff slide because you telling me no to holding my purse after I just rendered all that aid to you earlier in the day when you had a near drowning experience?
Exactly. She just did all this for you. But realistically, B just has a problem with this woman because she's jealous of her and she probably feels like she's taking her place as far as being best friends with A. Who knows what this is all about? But B clearly has a problem with this woman. And I think it has something to do with her other best friend. She wants her all to herself. But I don't get why, because y'all don't even like each other. Somebody please write down in the comments, what are you thinking about all of this right now?
Yeah, you won't have to explain that. So as soon as we get in the bar, I'm on her neck. I said, excuse me, why couldn't you hold my purse? Could not form a sentence. And I'm not letting up. I said, huh? Why couldn't you hold my purse? She couldn't give me a straight answer. Now, at this point, A is sitting on the other side of B, and A is tuned in because I can see A tuning in to see what B says to me. Right? A then inserts herself in the conversation and says, what she say? What she say? Talking to me. And I said, I don't know. She has not given me an answer as to why she couldn't hold my purse 2 seconds ago to help you over the sand. And at that point, B turns her back to me and starts talking to A. And I knew then B got a problem with me. Now, I'm not one to make assumptions, but y'all tell me at this point, what is this shaping up to sound like? Because you throwing heat at me because I helped this girl? What is that? Y'all best, Now, it's key to note that she never gave me a real answer. She proceeded to talk to A for the rest of, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 minutes while we're in the sports bar. We quickly left the sports bar because there was nothing to see in the sports bar. And I'm still not too sure why A was so inclined to make it to that sports bar. I don't know. But we left.
Your friend clearly needed male attention. And that's why she wanted y'all to go to a sports bar. Let's just keep it 100 out here.
Now, key thing to know, as we're leaving, I can tell whatever conversation A and B had about the purse situation didn't really end well. Because now A has an attitude. B is sulking like a child, moping rather. And we're all walking back to our rooms to end the night. Now, it's also important to know that the way the rooms are set up, A and B were roommates. Their room was on the first floor. C and I's room was on the second floor. So anytime we would do something, we would kind of go to the elevator as like our last parting spot. C and I would go up the elevator and A and B would walk around the corner to their room on the first floor. Now, this particular night, after the whole incident, we get to the elevator. Me and C are saying, all right, y'all, going up the elevator. And A and B are just kind of standing there with us. Like, we know y'all not going up the elevator. So we kind of look back to see like what they were doing, right? B has her head down. B's not looking at none of us. A then turns around to B and says, the room that way. B looks up. A doubles down and says, the room that way. B walks away and goes to the room. Now, I'm going to ask y'all again. Mind you, A and B are best friends, right? Now, what is this starting to... Okay. So A follows C and I up the elevator. And we were like, and you are doing what? I'm about to call my husband. Walks off somewhere on the resort. I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm going to room. At this point, I'm so blowed. I'm saying, okay, whatever. I'm going back to the room and I'm getting ready. I'm going to bed, right? I'm so blowed at this point. Fast forward to the next day. The next day is our last full day there. And this was the excursion day, I believe. I could be having that mixed up, but I don't know. We had one more full day. I believe it was excursion day. Anyway, I wake up and I proceed to do my normal routine. Like I said in the other parts, I made it a point starting at day 2 of the trip to wake up every morning about 5:30 to 6 a.m. to go get my coffee and have a little me time to myself because these women are exhausting. Okay. So I'm following my same routine the same day. I'm getting up, I'm getting ready. And as I'm getting ready, I'm noticing that C is also getting ready for something. I don't know because I didn't ask. And as I'm done getting ready, I'm walking out the door. She said, "Oh, I was going to come with you for coffee." In that instance, I knew you're not coming with me to get no coffee because you ain't had coffee the whole other 3 or 4 days we're here. You want to come with me so we can talk about what happened last night. I knew that off rip. Mind y'all, I'm not in a talkative mood. Mind you, when I got home, when we got back in the room the night before, I was looking at flights to leave. I was so fed up. I was ready to book a flight to leave. Of course, it didn't work out. It didn't make sense. So I'm stuck here. Okay. So fast forward, we're now walking to the coffee shop. C and I are walking to the coffee shop. And I know that C wants to talk about what happened last night. She did not really rip the Band-Aid off until we had gotten the coffee and we were walking out of the coffee shop. And then she goes to say, "Yeah, I just wanted to talk to you about what happened last night." Of course you do. I knew that when we left the room. I said, Mind you, I'm not saying, y'all, this whole conversation that I'm about to tell you, I did not say a full sentence. It was just her talking. Yeah. So she starts off her conversation by giving me this analogy. And this is what the analogy sounded like. It said, when it comes to A and B, like, I'm just going to give you this example. Me and you seem to be like very similar in the fact, when it comes to emotional maturity. Like, even though you're younger, like, I just feel like you're even-headed, you are very emotionally intelligent, blah, 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 blah. But when it comes to A and B, if I could put it on a scale, me and you are like up here. A and B are down here when it comes to emotional maturity. And then she goes into the itty bitty gritty details of the relationship or the origin story of A and B's relationship, which I don't care, because that does not make it make sense to me as to why these people act like this, right? So she goes give me every dirty detail of their story, how they both trauma bonded. That's how they became friends. When they became friends, they did not have a person of their own, X, Y, and Z. They're very possessive of each other. This is what C is telling me about A and B. This conversation continues from the coffee shop down to the breakfast area. And I'm sitting in the breakfast area and she sits down with me and she continues this conversation. She goes into telling me a story about how she has also been a victim or fallout, collateral damage, if you will, of a disagreement between A and B. So she goes into that story, a past story about how A and B was having one of their normal fallouts, as she said, and they weren't talking to each other for some time. So during that time when A and B weren't talking to each other, B proceeds to ask C for a password to a streaming service. Let's just say Netflix. B asks C for a Netflix password because she was on A's, but now her and A not talking. Now she asking C for her information. Cool. C gives B the information. Now, obviously, y'all see the pattern. A and B make up. When A and B make up and A finds out that B got a password from C, A's response was, "Oh, if you won't get a password from C, then you can get off my account." This is the direct quote from C. So I'm starting to understand that what I have experienced, those 2 instances before we got on this trip, and what I've experienced on this trip and what she's telling me right now, this is normal for y'all. That's what you're telling me. That's what I'm getting from this conversation, that I missed everything. And this is normal for y'all. So C proceeds her conversation and just goes into all the ways teaching me, giving me tips and tricks on how to navigate the toxicity of A and B's relationship. Kid you not, this conversation goes on to maybe 30 minutes until we have to go because we have to meet up with A and B because we have excursions to get to. So we met up with A and B, and B immediately comes over to me and tries to give me a halfway apology. She, I just want to apologize for last night. I was just going through something, is the word she used. I know I just should have held the purse, so I do apologize for that. Now, I know A told you to say that. Of course she did. But I said thanks and proceeded to go on about my day. So I take that back. That thanks was actually the last word I said to B. We go through the excursions. We have a pretty good day. Again, I'm completely tuning everything out at this point because I'm determined. I'm here. I'm here in this moment. I want to enjoy myself. But I'm not really too much interacting with the rest of the girls. During this day, A and B are right back to normal. Right back to normal, like nothing's happened. So I'm starting to see the pattern. If I'm privy to the pattern, then I already know what's going on. That I'm taking myself out of it. The last day proceeds, and that was that. The next thing we're going to jump into is what happened on the way home from this trip. I saw a video the other day on here where a lady was talking about adult form of bullying is isolation. And this is exactly what this last incident, that's what that was. Now we are on the last day. We're now at the airport. I'm already at the gate. Again, I went ahead to get a little alone time by myself. They were still figuring something out with their tickets with the gate agent. I'm already at the gate. So everything's cool. Mind you, if y'all remember in the first part, I think, because I was invited late, we had two different flight itineraries. But then I end up having the better flight back home. So all three of them changed their flight to the flight I had going back home. So now we're on the same flight, but with them booking their tickets together, all three of them are literally sitting in the very last row of the plane, but all together. And I'm sitting like closer to the front, middle ways of the plane, right? So from the flight time, from us getting on the flight, leaving Tulum, I was separated from them. So on the flight, Tulum to Atlanta, I believe, smooth flight, whatever. As we were landing, I was sitting next to a couple, a guy and a young lady. As we were landing, the young lady I was sitting next to on the plane leans up and just says, "Oh my God, you're so pretty." I was just telling my boyfriend, "You're so pretty." I just wanted to say that before we got off the plane. Me, oh my gosh, breath of fresh air. I said, "Oh my God, you are too." Shout out to Sky. I do remember her name. So me and her end up chit-chatting. We both went to HBCUs. I knew some people that went to her school. She knew some people that went to my school. So naturally, me and this girl just kick it off and just start talking. Mind you, we landed in Atlanta. If you're familiar with Atlanta international flights, you land on the international side and you have a long walk through customs back over to the domestic side, right? So me and this young lady literally talked from us getting off the plane all the way to customs. I mean, I'm just hanging out with her and her boyfriend. We chit-chatting it up. Every so often, I would look back to see where the other three young ladies are. Before we get to customs, me and the young lady, Scott, that was talking to each other the whole time, we part ways, whatever the case may be. And I'm standing there before I go through customs to show the people my passport. Again, I'm waiting. I wait maybe another 2 minutes. Again, y'all know people are moving. I said, you know what? All right, let me be of use here. If I'm this far ahead, I'm going to go through customs and let me get to baggage claim. And the moment I find out what baggage claim we're at, I'm going to text them so they won't have a hard time finding where we are. Again, me still being the person I am. So we get through customs. Again, I'm not used to traveling by myself. I'm always with my husband. So I'm not used to being on my P's and Q's in the airport trying to figure out which way is which, because that's his job, right? So I'm trying to find, and I'm having trouble finding the baggage claim. I just saw somebody that I remember on the flight. I just started following them to the baggage claim. It ended up being the right one. So what do? I get there. I said, okay, I confirmed it was the right one. I text the group message, baggage claim 5. No response. Okay. So in my mind, maybe they still have their airplane mode on, whatever the case may be. Because, in a group message, you cannot see if your message delivers. So I'm like, let me text C, because I know I can see if it delivers and let her know where the baggage claim is. But my first question was, where are y'all at? Because I'm still looking behind me and I still don't see y'all. I said, where y'all at? ? Baggage claim 5. Delivered. Okay. So we got our phones on. Message delivered. No response. C did not text me back. So I'm just standing there idle. So I'm like, okay. Lo and behold, bags start coming off the baggage claim. I don't see them in sight. Bags are coming. I said, you know what? If I see their bag, I'll just grab it. And that I did. I grabbed C and B's luggage off of the baggage claim. I grabbed mine, C, and B's. I did not seize A luggage at all. So I grabbed B, C's luggage. I have my luggage there, and I'm still looking from where they should be coming from for another a minute or so, and I don't see them. Mind you, nobody has responded to me in the group, and C has not responded to the personal text I sent her. It's okay. Lo and behold, I keep looking, finally see them. Now, they must have seen me before I saw them, because as soon as I clocked C, that's the first person I saw. I saw C. I saw C mouth my name in bags. I saw her say Jalen, And I saw her say bags. Now, I don't know what she said in between, but I know for 100% fact, my name came out of her mouth and bags. So keep that in mind. Okay. Now I'm clocking them the whole way. Them walking from where I was at customs all the way to baggage claim. I grabbed B and C's luggage. They're right next to me in front of me. A, B, and C walk up. They don't say a word. They don't acknowledge me. And they don't acknowledge, B and C don't acknowledge that I grabbed their bags for them. They walk up. They grab their bags. They rolled it closer to them. And they're all just standing there in silence, waiting for A's bag. So I'll wait about 30 seconds. I'm like, okay, I'm going to give people benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to try to be bratty because, like, you know, you should acknowledge me when you first come up. We got a lot, we traveling, whatever the case may be. I didn't say anything. Wait about 30 seconds. At this point, B and C have their back to me and A is standing in front of them. I said, y'all didn't get my message? And I said it loud enough for everybody to hear. A looks over at me, turns back around, didn't say anything. B starts to stutter, so I immediately knew she was lying. B said, you're lying. Be quiet. C, mind you, their backs are to me. So when C holds her phone up in front of her face, I'm standing right over her shoulder. I can see the notification where I texted the group and the notification on her phone screen where I texted her personally. She proceeds to say, oh, I only got the one you sent me. Lie. I see the notification. What? Oh, I only got that one message you just sent me. I said, okay. From that moment, I said, all of y'all are done. All of y'all are done. All of y'all are done. Okay? They knew what they were doing in that moment. I don't know if they were upset because I kept walking with the young lady. I don't know if they felt like I was purposely leaving them. I don't know because nothing was ever asked. But what I do know is how y'all acted. Okay? So from there, again, if you're familiar with Atlanta Airport, we had to go from international baggage claim all the way back over to domestic. During that, they are walking so far ahead of me, I would have had to do a light jog to catch up with them. And it's not the type of walking where you're in a group and you look, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if they were trying to repay the favor. Like, oh, she just left us, we're going to leave her. Again, not just saying, hey, I was waiting on y'all. I just went ahead and decided to grab everybody's bag for us. But then again, I don't care to explain none of that. I don't care at this point. Y'all want to do that? Cool. I'm good. I promise. So I'm making no effort to be included. I'm making no effort to catch up to them. None of that. And that's really how it ended. Now, I didn't plan on saying anything else to them. We got back through TSA. We got in the terminal. And I think they're noticing now, like, oh, shit, she really not. No. So at this point, at some point, we catch up to each other. I'm hearing them still a little ahead of me. Oh, we gonna get something to eat. We get over da. I know in my head, I don't plan on eating with y'all. I don't plan on being with y'all, like, at all. Passed by a Starbucks. I stopped at the Starbucks. C stands with me. I said, no, you can go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, right? I got that Starbucks and I jetted off somewhere. I don't know what gate I ended up at, but I immediately got on the phone with my husband to tell him what just happened. And he was like, you know what? Be cool. You are who you are. Like, don't let this affect you. Like, you're going to be home soon. Don't even worry about it. So, like I said, they did all that. I'm now at a random gate by myself, just decompressing about what just happened as far as them walking up, not saying anything to me after I did them a favor by grabbing their bags. So while I'm away from them, I get a text from A. Hey girl, you good? Now at this point, I noticed that that's one of A's tactics, as one of her narcissistic tactics or personality traits. I don't know. She'll do something to you and then come back and say, are you okay? What happened? All right. What did I say? Whatever I said, I was just like, oh, nothing. Like, I just needed some alone time. Something like that. Or I'm going through something, don't want to talk about it or something like that. Because I'm trying to end all conversations here. And she was like, okay, girl, well, let me know if you need me. Like, blah, 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 blah. All this bullshit. I'm just like, whatever. At this same time, C is texting my phone. Mind you, I know A, B, and C are sitting at a table together. I know y'all are talking about this. So why are you texting me separately? C is texting me and says, hey girl, you good? Your energy or something seems different. Something of the sort. I don't remember exactly what she said. I did not respond to C. I wasn't going to respond. In my message to A, I said, you can tell C whatever I just told you. Just tell her. I'm not talking about y'all about this. Are you fucking kidding me? No. I say, by the way, you can tell C too. So then C double texted me. Mind you, I did not physically respond to her. I told A to tell her, hey, I'm good. C doubles back. Oh, girl, I'm praying for you. Like, da 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 da. Are y'all insane? Are y'all? Okay. Did not say anything back to C. Fast forward, we get on the plane. I'm not saying anything to them. We get back home. And before we parted the airport back home, I said, I'm thinking about this whole way. I'm just like, this is it. And I'm just thinking about how I want to end this. And I'm not explaining myself to anybody, but I am at least going to acknowledge A and say, hey, I appreciate you for inviting me on your trip. Have a good night. And I left that airport with my husband with no intention on ever speaking to any of A, B, and C ever again. Now, I will insert this. Just some tidbit of information. Mind you, the invite came in February. My birthday was in March. Mind you, me and A are good. This is before I saw any of A's red flags, right? This is before the 2 blow-ups, I think. I could be wrong on that. I don't know. But lack of better words, A ends up giving me this extravagant birthday gift. Extravagant for some people that have not known each other for less than a year, in my opinion. So I'm like, wow, she really went out of her way. Now, looking back, I think I was being love bombed into the friendship. That's just my opinion. But I knew then, that was one of the things I literally prayed about. I'm just like, this girl's actual birthday was at the end of April. So after we got back home from this trip was her actual birthday. And I prayed about it, like, do I return the favor and get this girl something for her birthday? Because what I did not want to happen was her to finesse it and say, oh, this girl then got a free trip out of me, or I got her this and this and that, and she did da. You know what I mean? That was on my mind. Mind you, we know a lot of the same people. And I just said, I don't really care what people think about me, but me in my heart, if somebody gave me a gift, return the favor. Here. So I did give her a small trinket of a happy birthday. And again, that came with send, enjoy your birthday. A reached out to me in between that many a times to try to encourage conversations. I was invited over to her house at least 2 or 3 times for coffee post trip. I declined every single time because I want to, at that point, I'm limiting interactions. I'm limiting conversations because it was almost like a quiet quitting type of situation. I don't want to explain to anything. I don't care to explain anything to y'all, but I know for one thing, y'all ain't never getting the same jailing y'all had out of me. Have not talked to anybody since, unfollowed everybody since. I mean, the normal things you would do because I don't care to see anything, So yeah, that is the last and final part.
I told y'all what I think here and there about the video. Now, y'all tell me down below what y'all think. And what would y'all do in this situation? If you like the video, boo, subscribe. I love you, and I'll catch you in the next one.